Okay, so I know everyone is excited about the new M1 iPad Pros, and you really should be. But with those being a couple weeks out still, I want to shed a little bit of light on what I think is a fantastic iPad for many people. Today we're going to be asking the question, is the iPad Pro 2nd generation from 2017 worth buying 4 years later in 2021? Before we get started, be sure to hit the subscribe button and click the bell as we cover your favorite tech and video games. I'm Chris Grant Jr. It's the Granite Geek Show. Okay guys, so here's how this video is going to break down. Of course, we're going to do hard specs and numbers and show you the pros and cons of really using this device in 2021. But I also want to show you real world use cases. I run a record label, I run 2 YouTube channels, and I'm a student. So I really need this thing to do all of that, sometimes at once. But before we get into that, I want to talk a little bit about why I even have this device. So my 2 favorite Apple devices, period, of all time are the Mac Mini and the iPad Pro. And with this new M1 iPad coming out, I really wanted to take a dive into just using the iPad Pro as my only work device. Now, I had tried this before, but it was as a student and just pretty much a student. And I picked up the 1st generation of this. This here is the 2nd generation. And that worked really well for me. But now I want to really push the iPad Pro to its limit. So I'm so serious about this iPad only workflow that I've actually shipped off the M1 Mac Mini. I don't even want the temptation. I will be fully immersed in the all iPad ecosystem for everything, no excuses. And of course, I'm going to be taking you guys on that journey. So be sure to hit the subscribe button once again and click the bell. I'll be finding the best keyboard case, stand, keyboard and mouse, even external display. I mean, you name it. I'm going to be testing it out to see what truly works best for a pro workflow. So without further ado, let's head on over to the unboxing studio, which is still under construction. All right, so here we are. It's still a work in progress as far as this setup, but let me know if you like it by leaving a thumbs up. All right, so let's jump on in. Here I've got the 12.9-inch 2nd generation iPad Pro, which released in 2017. We're going to put this through a lot of workload, but first let's talk some specs. So you've got Touch ID here, so that's how you're going to get into the device. No Face ID on this one, and my desktop is blank. I don't like having apps all over the place. I keep all my Pro apps in folders that are on my dock. Here I've got some widgets set up so I can have my lighting controlled for the entire studio straight from here, as well as weather, but again, I like the minimalistic look. You see I got the Apple Store there. That's where I ordered my M1 iPad Pro. Let's jump into specs first. We'll go into Safari and we'll get it right from Apple's website. We've got the 2nd gen iPad Pro and the 5th gen iPad Pro here, both 12.9 inches. They both come in space gray and silver, but with the 2nd gen, you also get the nice gold option if you want that. I doubt many professionals will, but you know, you have it if you need it. The 2nd gen has the A12X Fusion chip, but don't let that fool you, because when we put this thing through its paces, I think you're going to be really surprised at the performance you can get out of this. And then obviously the beast that is the M1 chip with the neural engine. 512 max storage on the 2nd gen and 2 terabytes on the 5th gen. The 5th gen also comes with an ultra wide camera as well as the LiDAR sensor. This just comes with the 12 megapixel wide camera and a flash. 7 megapixel front facing FaceTime HD camera. This is good for any kind of live streaming. It's just as good as any webcam. It's also good for FaceTime, but obviously when you're blowing it up to a 12.9 inch screen, you're going to start to see some of the flaws in that 7 megapixel camera. As where with the 12 megapixel true depth sensor, this is going to be something to behold for sure. I do video editing a lot, so that means I'm transferring video files, big video files, off of SD cards very often. The Lightning connector on the 2nd gen is going to be quite slow, especially in comparison with something like Thunderbolt. Even the USB-C on the 3rd and 4th gen iPads are faster. But if you're not doing a lot of video transfer, even photos, it does pretty well. But particularly 4K video, it's going to be slow with that, as where with Thunderbolt. I mean, you know the story. It's going to be a breeze. We got 4G on the 2nd gen, 5G on the 5th gen. This is the cellular model that we have in studio here. 1st generation Apple Pencil compatible on the 2nd gen, and 2nd gen Apple Pencil compatible on the 5th gen. Both can be used with the Apple Smart keyboards, although I've never really been a fan of those because of the price, and you can get a lot of good keyboard cases for much cheaper than that. Then finally, specs wise, we do have the borders on the iPad Pro, which has its pros and cons. Obviously you can hold the iPad and get a good grip without touching the screen, getting fingerprints all over it, but of course that borderless look is definitely in, and I am more of of a fan of that. So let's go back to the desktop and let's begin to put this through a workload. So at any given time, I could be editing a 4K video, working on the thumbnail at the same time, and or doing some homework. Typically not usually homework and video editing at the same time, but let's do it because I really want to push this A10X. So we're going to open up LumaFusion from scratch here so you can get an idea of the load times you can expect. It's less than 10 seconds. Here I have our AirTags video open. And again, the AirTags giveaway is still going on. So if you want to be a part of that, go check out that video and figure out how you can enter to win. So we got a video here. This is 4K footage. I can hit the play button and this will play fine. I've got the audio. No problem. I can touch here to any point in the timeline.
Here, but no sound really coming out of there. You can have.
We've got scrubbing. That's fine. We've got our volume controls as well as viewing the certain track or not. We can make it visible or lock it, etc. First, let's test playback and do something like editing a thumbnail. So we're doing playback here, and let's open up Pixelmator. I'll turn this down. So while that's playing in full 4K, we can go ahead and grab our thumbnail here. This was for the Stranger Things Season 4 trailer that just released today as of the recording of this video, so you can check that out. And of course, I can go ahead in here and edit this thumbnail, obviously with a keyboard case I would typically be using, so the keyboard's not up on the screen. But just for the purpose of this video, I'll use the on-screen keyboard. But you can see I can edit this. I can go ahead into the image itself. I can do some color adjustments, all while this video is playing fine. I can go over here and adjust my levels. I can make it lighter. I can apply it. That's fine. But say all of a sudden I have to work on some homework. So let's go ahead and pull open our Files app. We'll go ahead and split screen that. Say I've got this open in my Files app. I just want to finish up this thumbnail real quick, but what I also want to do is write some notes on something. And you can see the video is still playing back perfectly smoothly here if I'm just checking it for errors or mistakes or bad cuts. So you can see we're really doing three things at once here, and it's no issue. Now what I also want to do is I want to render out this video and see how the render times are. Now obviously with the A10X chip, while playback and multitasking performance is spot on, I really haven't been able to make it stutter or lag that well. Perhaps in the render time we could see a little bit of lag. So we're going to go ahead and export this video. We'll go ahead to YouTube. We will do video quality, not 12 megabits, but 150. So this is ultra 4K. We're going to go ahead and upload this now. It's writing the movie, and we're going to go ahead and continue to edit this video. We're going to continue to edit this thumbnail. And you see, we're not getting any lag of any kind here. We're selecting our Stranger Things layer. We can move that around, no problem. We can go ahead and move that over there and continue our homework here. I truly believe 2017 is when the iPad Pro began to truly be overkill and when it first started turning a lot of heads in the professional industry. So here I'm doing all this, and again, the video is still editing. It's already a quarter of the way through for, I believe, what is just under a 5-minute 4K video with layers, with color grading, and with sound editing. So this thing really is a beast, and you can get it at a killer price right now on Amazon. Of course, affiliate links will be down in the description below. If you want to help out the channel, that's a great way to do it if you found this video helpful. But yeah, so just because the M1 iPad Pro is coming out and it will be a beast, don't get me wrong, none of these iPads since 2017 are any kind of slouch. Now, because of RAM management, you do want to leave LumaFusion running in the foreground while you are exporting. But feel free to open up multitasking in any way, maybe move that over to the side so you can get a nice regular sized iPad view to continue doing whatever blah-de-blah on other apps as well. And you can go ahead and throw in other apps. I do a lot of PDF editing. That's why I'm doing so much of this. But while this is doing its thing, I can go ahead and throw another app into the multitasking view here, and I can go ahead and write with this as well. And you see there are no drop frame rates on this. I can pause that real quick if I really need to focus here, and then I can oops, I hit the wrong button. I can continue to play there just as easily. So hopefully, guys, that gave you an idea of just what the A10X Fusion chip can do. If you were surprised by the power this thing is packing, go ahead and leave a comment down below, and be sure to like the video as well. Of course, we got the M1 iPad Pro coming into the studio soon, so I'll be doing a full review of that, as well as the best cases, stands, stylus, anything that you could possibly imagine, I will be testing out to see what the best gear is for a pro level workflow using the new M1 iPad. Be sure to leave all your questions down in the comments below. I will try to answer all of them as I hustle to get the next video out for you guys. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Chris Grant Jr. It's the Granite Geek Show.